We're going to put together a double page spread with, as you can see, 3 columns on both pages, but we are going to link these two text boxes together. We're going to have one headline and one image placed in. And of course, we're not going to use bleeds, but we're just going to have just a white border around the 2 pages. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to create a new document. And because this is for print, high res, a print magazine, I'm just going to choose print and change to inches. 8.5 by 11 is fine. You do want this orientation to be portrait because we have 2 pages that are essentially going to flip like a book or a magazine. You want to make sure that this is checked. And we're going to leave everything else okay here, but the columns we're going to change to 3. Margins we're going to leave as is, and bleeds for this particular document, we're not going to use any. So I'm just going to create, okay? So it looks like one page. However, if I go into my page panel, here is one page, which essentially would be your cover. And then if I add 2 more pages, that would be your inside cover. And then the first page, typically that's how it works. Keep adding to it, and that's how your magazine would work, right? But we're only going to do work on these 2 pages, and we're going to leave this one blank, okay? So as you saw, we're going to import an image. So first, take your rectangle frame with the X in it. That is your frame that identifies that you're going to place in an image. Now, before I continue, remember to turn on your grids, which is Command apostrophe, and that will turn on your grids and it will help you put things into place. So I'm just going to place this on a grid like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a text box. I might have to zoom in. And the heading said, "Go nuts for donuts." Okay. Right. And then I'll size it, I'll change the text and all of that. So that's the next step, right? And just so that we can see what's happening here, I'm going to bring in the image. So click on your frame, Command D, File Place. The image will be, I'm just going to go in here, the donuts. Okay, so remember, when you import an image, it will not fit. It will always probably be bigger than the frame that you created. However, I want it to fit in this size. So using the white arrow, you can see, if I deselect off of it, you can see that we have a bounding box that goes outside of that frame. So you're going to have to scale it within there. So holding down the Shift key, scale it within, and make sure you hold it down. I would go from the top and then bring it up from the bottom and try to get it as close as possible. If it doesn't fit exactly, that is fine, as long as you're not cutting off important information, okay? But for this, we're just going to leave a bit of a crop on both sides, roughly the same type of crop. Or I can even bring this down a bit lower. So I'm going to do that as well. And I'm going to move this down, at least 2 boxes down on the grid. And then we have it here, okay? So remember that. Now, one thing about your image, when you look at your links, that's where your image is. And you're looking at what's the color space for print should be CMYK. You're also looking at the actual PPI. It should be for print, always should be 300. Now, because we scaled it down, right? You can see the effective PPI is not too bad. It went up because we scaled it down, right? So that is actually not too bad. If this said 600, remember, don't go over 50%, so 600. Now I want to show you something. I want you to look at this area, the effective PPI. Now, if I scaled this like this, for example, now I want you to look at the effective PPI. I didn't use my Shift key on purpose, okay? So whenever you don't scale down proportionately, it will show 2 numbers. It should only be 1. So keep that in mind. So when I'm checking your files, I will know if you scaled proportionally or not, because it should only show 1 number, not 2. Even up here, it says 78%. These numbers should be exactly the same. They shouldn't be any different. So in order to fix a problem like that, just use this percentage up at the top here and make sure that they're exactly the same. So you can take this, copy and paste it, any one of them. And when you look at the effective PPI, it should only be one number, which means that it is now scaled proportionally. Okay, so make sure it's always like that. Always one number here. And then I'm going to add another one around here. Okay, I'm going to just adjust it because I didn't get it all the way. Make sure that you're touching the pink lines. That's your margin or safety area. And before I continue on, I'm going to draw another text box here because I want them both to flow. Actually, let me just finish that. So here's another text box. And then I'm going to take my black arrow to just scale it and make sure that it touches all that. Okay, so right now these are two completely separate text boxes, and we're going to make the text flow from one to another. But in 1 second, I just want to adjust this as well. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to change my fonts. Okay, so actually this might be a little light, something like that. And then I can make it bigger. So you have your font sizes here you can play with, right? Or your shortcut could be Command, Shift, and period to go up. And if I go too much, then you just have to take your black arrow and just scale the text box a little bit lower. And you can see your font again, okay? So that's the next step. All right, so the next step, I'm going to turn off my grid for a second, Command apostrophe. Okay, now I want to, before I put filler text in here, I want to link these two. Okay, in order to link, look for this larger box. Do you see how there's two boxes? That's your bounding box. Right here, this box right here, not that one. You're going to click on that box. When you click on that box, you're going to notice that it looks like a little paragraph has shown up in your cursor, and it looks like a little arrow, right? So do you see when I hover over to the next text box, it gives me like almost like a link or some kind of different icon, right? Whenever you see that second icon in the next page, just click onto it. Okay, now it looked like nothing happened, but if I look at the top, now I can also see that there's an arrow here. Okay, so that means these two are linked, and in order to make sure that they are, or prove that they are linked, now I'm going to click in here with my type tool, right click and go into fill with placeholder to actually, no, before we do that, we are going to text frame options first, make sure that they're both 3. Okay, I'm going to right click in here, make sure that it is also 3. Okay, now I got 2 text boxes, they're linked and they're both set to 3. Now I'm going to click into the text box, make sure that you're on your type tool, right click, fill with placeholder text. And here it has filled both, loaded into 3 columns each, right? The last thing we're going to do on this, just to show you, is let's say I want to pull some of these colors that's within an image, as opposed to trying to find them and trying to match them. What you can do is you're going to take this eyedropper. If you hold it down, there's a color theme tool. If I click on that and click on the actual image, now what you're going to see is a pop-up of colors that it actually pulled. So I'm going to leave it as the first one here. And to add it to my swatch panel, there's a little checker with a plus sign. I'm going to click on that. And if I go into my swatch panel, you can see that at the bottom here, there's a folder and it added all the colors that I need. So if I want to change my, let's say my heading to a color that's from the image, I can click on that. Maybe I might want to add other elements to the page, right? So sometimes there's other elements at the bottom here, like lines or little shapes or anything like that. Now you can use these colors,